The world of blockchain and digital finance is rapidly evolving, and Stellar has emerged as one of the most promising platforms bridging the gap between traditional finance and decentralized technologies. Founded in 2014 by Jed McCaleb and Joyce Kim, Stellar is designed as an open-source blockchain network focused on fast, low-cost, and scalable cross-border payments. Unlike some other blockchains that prioritize complex smart contract ecosystems, Stellar's core mission has always been to enable seamless financial access for individuals, businesses, and institutions alike, particularly in regions where conventional banking infrastructure is limited. Over the years, Stellar has steadily built a reputation as a reliable, versatile, and highly practical blockchain solution, attracting strategic partnerships that highlight its utility in both financial and technological landscapes. One of the most noteworthy collaborations in Stellar's history is its partnership with Visa. Visa, a global payments giant, is constantly seeking innovative ways to streamline payments and improve financial inclusion worldwide. By integrating Stellar into its initiatives, Visa can leverage Stellar's high-speed, low-cost transaction infrastructure to experiment with tokenized assets and blockchain-based payment rails. This collaboration is particularly significant because it demonstrates that major traditional financial institutions are recognizing the efficiency and reliability of blockchain technology for real-world use cases. Through this partnership, Stellar positions itself as a bridge between legacy financial systems and the emerging world of digital assets, offering enterprises a secure and scalable platform for asset tokenization and faster transaction settlement. Complementing its work with Visa, Stellar has also gained attention through its partnership with ARAX, a UK-based regulated digital securities exchange. ARAX's focus on tokenized securities aligns perfectly with Stellar's goal of creating an open financial network that facilitates the frictionless transfer of assets. Together, Stellar and ARAX are exploring the tokenization of traditional assets, allowing for enhanced liquidity, faster settlement, and more transparent asset management. This collaboration highlights Stellar's growing influence in the world of digital asset markets, demonstrating that the platform is not limited to cross-border payments but is equally capable of supporting enterprise-grade financial infrastructure for both traditional and digital assets. The United States government has also taken notice of Stellar's potential. The U.S. Commerce Department's adoption of Stellar blockchain technology to manage and exchange GDP data exemplifies the platform's reliability, security, and transparency. By leveraging Stellar, government agencies can ensure that critical financial and economic data is handled efficiently, with an immutable and verifiable record of transactions. This adoption not only validates Stellar's technical capabilities, but also positions the blockchain as a trusted solution for large-scale institutional applications, bridging the gap between decentralized technology and public sector operations. Stellar's ecosystem continues to expand beyond partnerships with financial institutions and government entities. One of the most notable examples of Stellar's growing utility is its integration of PayPal's PYUSD stablecoin on the Stellar network. By supporting PYUSD, Stellar significantly enhances the liquidity of PayPal's digital assets, providing users with faster transaction speeds, lower costs, and seamless access to blockchain-powered financial services. This integration is a strong technical signal that Stellar is capable of handling high-volume, mainstream financial applications, further solidifying its reputation as a practical and enterprise-ready blockchain platform. Beyond these collaborations, Stellar has been actively innovating to support decentralized finance, DeFi, and broader financial applications. The platform has integrated near intents, enabling users and developers to expand DeFi use cases within the Stellar ecosystem. This integration enhances the platform's utility by connecting diverse blockchain networks and fostering a more interoperable financial ecosystem. With Stellar at the center, developers can create solutions that leverage multiple blockchain protocols while benefiting from Stellar's speed, low fees, and robust security features. Stellar's partnerships are not only strategic but also global in scope. For instance, its collaboration with Telegram connects over 100 million users worldwide to the Stellar blockchain, expanding its reach and demonstrating the platform's scalability and versatility. By integrating with popular messaging and social platforms, Stellar is making blockchain technology accessible to everyday users, enabling instant transactions and financial services within applications they already use daily. This approach underscores Stellar's commitment to financial inclusion, bringing decentralized finance to new audiences and empowering people in regions where access to traditional banking services is limited. You see, what's really crazy about this whole thing is that Stellar has been building for years in the shadows, while everybody was distracted by Bitcoin headlines and Ethereum gas fees. But then you've got Visa, one of the biggest names in the payments industry, quietly plugging into Stellar's infrastructure. That's not small. That's not some side partnership. That's a signal. And think about it, if Visa, a company that literally moves trillions in volume every single year, sees value in Stellar's rails, what do you think happens when the rest of the traditional finance world starts waking up? What happens when banks that are already struggling with outdated systems realize they can settle instantly on Stellar instead of waiting 2 or 3 days through SWIFT? That's not just innovation, that's disruption. Now, combine that with Stellar's ability to tokenize assets. We're talking everything from currencies to real-world assets, even stablecoins, and suddenly you start to see the picture. Visa doesn't just want fast transactions, they want programmable money. They want rails that can handle the next evolution of payments. And Stellar is right there, already delivering. And you know what else? This is where you've got to look past the noise. Everybody's hyping the next meme coin, the next speculative play. But when you step back, the real money, the big institutional money, is positioning itself on networks like Stellar. Visa doesn't care about hype. Visa cares about efficiency, compliance, and scale. And that's exactly what Stellar offers. So when you hear about these partnerships, don't just shrug them off. These are the breadcrumbs that show you where the future is heading. Visa testing stablecoin settlement on Stellar today could very well be the backbone of cross-border payments tomorrow. And the early movers? They're the ones who reap the rewards when adoption hits critical mass. Now let's zero in on something that a lot of people are not paying enough attention to: Visa and Stellar. I don't care what anybody says, when one of the biggest names in global payments starts testing the rails of a blockchain like Stellar, that should make your ears perk up. That's not hype, that's a quiet power move. Visa isn't just any company. We're talking about an empire that processes over 200 billion transactions every single year. They're the gatekeeper of payments. They decide what works and what doesn't. And here they are, looking at Stellar, a network designed from the ground up to make money move seamlessly across borders. That's not a coincidence. That's strategic. Think about this. For decades, Visa has relied on the same clunky financial infrastructure. SWIFT, ACH settlement systems that take days, fees that eat into profits. Stellar eliminates all of that. Transactions on Stellar settle in seconds, and the costs are fractions of a cent. For a giant like Visa, shaving even a fraction of a percentage point in transaction costs translates into billions of dollars saved. That's why they're testing it. That's why they're paying attention. And let's be real, Visa doesn't need Stellar for hype. Visa doesn't care about retail traders chasing pumps. Visa cares about scalability, compliance, and reliability. They want rails that work at a global level without breaking under stress. And Stellar's been quietly proving it can handle exactly that. Now here's the part that most people miss. Visa integrating with Stellar isn't just about faster payments. It's about control. It's about preparing for the future of programmable money, tokenized assets, and stablecoins. Imagine a future where Visa issues stablecoin-based payment solutions directly on Stellar. No middlemen. No waiting 3 days for settlement. Just instant, global, borderless money movement. That's not a dream. That's the direction we're heading. And this isn't a one-off. Visa has already been experimenting with blockchain, but the fact that Stellar is even on their radar tells you everything you need to know. They're not experimenting for fun. They're experimenting because they know the old rails are crumbling, and Stellar is one of the few networks ready to pick up the weight of global finance. So while people are busy speculating on coins that might not even exist in a few years, Visa is out here positioning with Stellar. That should tell you exactly where the smart money is looking. And when adoption like that starts to snowball, it's not going to wait for retail investors to catch up. The train will already be moving. This is why I keep saying don't ignore these partnerships. Don't shrug them off as just announcements. When giants like Visa test Stellar, they're not testing for fun. They're laying the foundation for the next era of payments. And if you can read between the lines, you can see just how big that could get. See, Stellar isn't just sitting back waiting for Visa. They've been strategically aligning themselves with institutions, payment providers, and fintechs that have one mission: connecting the disconnected. And that's where Stellar absolutely shines. It's not chasing speculation. It's building rails for the real economy. Here's the thing. Billions of people around the world are still underbanked or completely unbanked. And traditional banking doesn't want to deal with them. Too expensive, too risky, too much bureaucracy. But Stellar's technology flips that. It allows small, fast, and secure transactions to move globally at basically no cost. That means microtransactions. That means remittances that don't eat up half of your paycheck in fees. That means giving people access to financial services who've never had that before. Now tie that back to Visa. What happens when Visa taps into this? You suddenly have one of the largest financial networks in the world merging with one of the most efficient blockchain payment systems ever created. You've got accessibility meeting scalability. That's not just a partnership, that's a potential blueprint for the future of money movement. And don't forget, Stellar's ecosystem isn't just about payments. It's about tokenization. It's about creating digital versions of real-world assets that can move freely across borders. Imagine Visa not just processing payments, but also moving tokenized assets, stablecoins, even digital securities on Stellar. That unlocks a trillion-dollar market, plain and simple. And let's talk about speed for a second. Because when you strip away all the marketing, all the noise, speed and cost efficiency are what matter. And Stellar is light years ahead in that department. Transactions settle in seconds. Costs are so low you can move $100 or $10,000 and barely pay a fraction of a cent. Traditional rails can't compete with that. Even other blockchains struggle to hit that balance of speed and reliability. Stellar already has it. But here's the kicker: Visa brings trust. Stellar brings innovation. Combine those two, and you suddenly have a system that the average consumer doesn't even know is blockchain. They just know it works faster and cheaper. And that's the golden rule of adoption. When people don't care what's under the hood, they just use it. That's when you win. So we are really about painting that bigger picture. Stellar isn't trying to be everything to everyone. It's laser-focused on payments, tokenization, and financial inclusion. Visa isn't experimenting for hype, they're building for longevity. And when these two forces align, what you're looking at is the possible backbone of the next global financial system. And trust me, this isn't 10 or 20 years away. The rails are being built right now. The pilots are happening right now. And the ones who understand that early, they're the ones who benefit the most when the world finally catches up. Okay, so now that we've unpacked how Stellar and Visa could work together to reshape payments and tokenization, let's talk about where this actually leads. Because it's one thing to hype up partnerships, it's another to break down what this really means for the future of the financial landscape. And here's the truth. We're moving into a world where blockchain doesn't live in isolation anymore. It's no longer about crypto bros versus banks. That phase is done. What's happening now is integration. Blockchain rails plugging into traditional systems so seamlessly that, honestly, you might not even notice when you're using it. Now let's bring Stellar back into this. Stellar was literally built for this bridging worlds. Traditional finance, fintech, remittances, stablecoins, CBDCs, you name it. Stellar's like the universal adapter in a world full of mismatched plugs. And Visa? Visa brings the global scale to make those bridges useful. Think about the domino effect. If Visa is testing Stellar tech, then MasterCard, PayPal, Western Union, and others can't just sit back and do nothing. They'll either have to join in or risk being left behind. That's how competition works. And suddenly, Stellar goes from being that project working on financial inclusion to being the backbone of mainstream adoption. But here's the part that excites me the most. Stellar isn't chasing flashy narratives. They're not screaming, "We're going to the moon," or "We're the next Bitcoin." Instead, they're quietly locking down deals, building infrastructure, and proving real-world utility. That's the type of foundation you want to see if you're thinking long-term. And let's talk about impact. When Stellar's tech starts powering Visa transactions, that doesn't just affect crypto enthusiasts. That affects small businesses in Lagos, farmers in India, freelancers in South America. Suddenly, payments that used to take days and cost ridiculous fees settle instantly and cheaply. That's transformative. That's not just finance, that's economic empowerment. Now let me ask you this. What happens when everyday people don't even realize they're using blockchain, but they're benefiting from it every single day? That's when the narrative shifts from crypto is speculative to crypto is infrastructure. That's when adoption goes exponential. And I'll be real with you, Stellar is perfectly positioned for that kind of leap. They've already shown they can handle speed, cost efficiency, and scalability. Visa brings trust and reach. Together, they're creating a future where you don't have to choose between legacy finance and blockchain. You just use a system that works. Period. So this is the transition point. Stellar plus Visa isn't just a partnership. It's a signal. A sign that we're moving into the era where blockchain quietly becomes the plumbing of the global financial system. And when that plumbing is invisible but absolutely necessary, that's when you know the foundation is strong. Alright, so we've talked about Visa and Stellar, but let's not forget the corporate giants. Because if Visa is making a power play with Stellar, you know the sharks are circling. Think about it. MasterCard isn't just going to sit back and clap for Visa. They've been exploring blockchain solutions for years. They've got patents, pilot programs, and partnerships stacked up. But here's the kicker. They don't yet have that killer blockchain integration that makes the world stand up and go, "Whoa, this changes everything." If Visa and Stellar nail this, MasterCard will have no choice but to fire back. And that could mean alliances with other blockchains, maybe Hedera, maybe Ethereum, maybe even some completely new player we haven't been watching closely. Then there's PayPal. They've already dipped their toes deep into crypto, rolling out stablecoin initiatives and supporting token transfers. But PayPal's core model? It's basically a digital wallet riding the rails of the traditional banking system. If Stellar plus Visa streamline that entire process, PayPal risks being leapfrogged unless they pivot hard. Imagine PayPal forced to integrate Stellar just to keep pace. That's wild when you think about it. And we can't ignore the banks. Oh, the banks. These guys hate losing control, but they're also not dumb. They'll push back against anything that eats into their transaction fees, but at the same time, they'll quietly start adopting. If Visa shows that Stellar integration works at scale, you better believe banks will rush to copy or partner up. Some will resist, others will rebrand themselves as crypto-friendly. But at the end of the day, the tide will be too strong. And then there's the wild cards, tech giants like Apple, Amazon, Google. These companies have massive payment ecosystems of their own. If Visa's blockchain move shows massive efficiency, what's stopping Apple from building out an Apple Pay blockchain bridge? What's stopping Amazon from launching direct Stellar payments for global sellers? Once one domino falls, the others don't have much choice but to fall in line or risk losing their grip. So here's the bottom line of this corporate angle. Stellar plus Visa doesn't just make a new product. It forces an industry-wide reaction. Competitors will scramble, innovation will spike, and the entire payments sector could transform in just a few years. It's not just a partnership. It's a challenge, a gauntlet being thrown down. And every big player in finance and tech has to decide. Do they ignore it, fight it, or join it? Because history shows one thing. Once the rails of money shift, you can't stop them. You either ride them, or you get left behind. Imagine a world where the money flowing across borders isn't clogged by slow banks or eaten up by insane fees. Imagine small businesses in Africa sending payments to partners in Europe instantly, without waiting days for settlement. Imagine corporations shaving billions off costs simply because blockchain rails replaced legacy infrastructure. That's not sci-fi anymore. That's the reality being built right now. Now, will there be competition? Of course. Will there be resistance? Absolutely. Banks will fight it. Regulators will stall it. Corporations will jockey for control. But here's the thing about tech shifts. Once efficiency is proven, there's no going back. Nobody went back to dial-up once broadband hit. Nobody went back to CDs once streaming took over. And nobody is going back to legacy payment rails once blockchain proves itself at scale. That's why this moment matters. We're not talking about hype or speculation here. We're talking about infrastructure. And infrastructure is the stuff that quietly changes everything. So the big question isn't, will blockchain transform payments? It's already happening. The question is, who's going to lead, who's going to adapt, and who's going to get left behind? And that's where you, me, and everyone watching comes in. Because staying informed, staying sharp, and staying early on these shifts is what separates the ones who just watch history from the ones who ride it. So if you're excited about what we've broken down, Stellar, Visa, and the financial revolution that's unfolding, stick with me. Because this isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning. And we're going to keep tracking it, breaking it down, and cutting through the noise together. Because the future of money isn't a question anymore. It's a race. And the finish line is closer than most people think. If you got value from this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Where do you see Stellar, Hedera, and Ethereum shaping the future? Let's build the conversation because this is bigger than price charts. This is the new financial system being born.